Sorry, I got an itch. Sorry, I got an itch. My lotion over here. Hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Richard, thank you for the badge. Thank you for the likes. Where are you from, Richard? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Man, I just got an itch tonight. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. I'm gonna reach for my thing real quick. Sorry. This is the only time I sit still long enough to put my hand cream on. 58? Is that your age, Richard? Thanks for sharing. 50 over here, almost 51. 51 in November. Sorry, I don't sit still long enough to put lotion on, so this is the only time I'm sitting still long enough. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Oh, on my hair. Oh, that's good. Now I just got lotion in my hair. I'm just a mess. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hugh the Jackman 34.15. Thank you for the follow. Do you actually have a name and where you're from? Thank you for the likes. Whoever's sending them, I can't see at the moment. It's not telling me. Whoever's sending the hearts, I appreciate that. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are. Mr. Hugh? Okay, where are you from, Mr. Hugh? Just curious. I got lotion in my hair. I got lotion in my hair. David, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I was gonna let a few more hop on and then I'll get started. Australia. Wow. I don't think I've had anybody from Australia yet, although I do have a friend there, but not sure. Wow. I don't think I've had anybody from Australia yet, although I do have a friend there, but not sure where she lives. Not bad. We've been friends for like 7 years. I might have known at one time, but if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you guys can just keep hitting that like, that really does help me too. I appreciate that. Alright, I don't want to go too late, so just wait a few more seconds and then I'll go ahead and get started. I didn't know how many I'd get on with it being holiday weekend, so thanks for the hearts. I don't know who's sending them. I don't know why they're not telling me that part. Interesting. Alright, well, it looks like our numbers are just going to plateau, so I'm just going to get started. So if you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. Glad to have you here. I started my TikTok a year ago in March of 2024. The reason I started my TikTok, thank you for all the likes, Hugh, I appreciate that. The reason I started my TikTok for a TikTok slowly breadcrumb me to my purpose, which is to be here with all of you lovely people. So now basically my purpose in life is to help other people through their loss and trauma and uplift others. So that's why I'm here. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Boy, everybody just checked out after that. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat there. And so, like I said, if you're just hopping on, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat there. And so, like I said, if you're just hopping on, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. I only have 2 rules on my page. The first one is I just ask everybody to always be kind. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. And the second one is we talk absolutely no politics here. It's just not at all what my page is about. My page is about loss and healing and uplifting others and just giving people a place to go if they just are lonely or they just need a place to go, a community to go. If they've lost somebody and they're not sure how to take those steps forward, that's what my community is about. Thank you, Hugh, for all the likes. I really do appreciate that. Is it Jin? Thank you for the follow. Where are you from? And so I always like to say, I am on my journey of life where I am, and you are where you are, and none of us are going to agree on everything. And so we agree to disagree here. And if you can't do that, I just ask that you hop off and keep scrolling. So whenever I go live, my guides give me a topic. And so tonight's topic, we're going to talk about showing up for others. Showing up for others. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Boy, it might be a slow night. I wondered with it being a holiday weekend and all. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. So we're not shy here. So my lives depend on questions and you ask me questions. So like I said, we're not shy. You're never interrupting me here. My community is your community as long as you're being kind to everyone here, including myself. If you're not, it's a good way to get yourself blocked. I will warn you a couple times, and if you're not kind, then I will kick you off and block you. But I don't like to do that if I don't have to. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Thank you for the badge, Julie. I appreciate that, and all the likes. I wondered how many I was going to get on here with it being a holiday weekend. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. So tonight, Julie, I know you missed it. We're talking about showing up for others and what does that look like. And so I got this topic this morning, but it's really been relevant to my life since I lost my husband. But I got the topic this morning. What was the video? One of the content creators that I watch on Instagram was talking about this, and my guide's like, that's your topic for tonight. And I've talked about this a little before. That's your topic for tonight. And I've talked about this a little before, but it's been a while. So basically we're going to talk about, so what does it look like to show up for others, right? Oh, that's what it was. So the content creator showed a video of a gal who was having a bad day. And instead of her friends just texting her back going, hey, are you okay? They came to her house with a bunch of balloons and was like singing to her, uplifting music, and they were really there for her. And so my guide's like, yeah, that's your topic for tonight. And like I said, I've touched on this before. And I've talked about how important it is to never say, hey, if you need anything, because I had this literally happen to me, right? When I lost my husband, how important it is when you say something, please mean it, especially if it's around somebody that's had a loss, and you say, these words come out of your mouth, hey, if you need anything, be there to back them up. Because I've had people after I lost my husband who said that, and then when I've contacted them, which is really hard for me to do because I don't like to ask for help, and so I reached out because they're like, hey, if you want to just go get a coffee or something, right? I don't drink coffee, but whatever, smoothie, whatever. And so I reached out to 2 different people, and they both like, why are you contacting me? So That is the biggest thing I want to stress tonight. Sammy, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. But that's huge to me because, you know, if you don't mean it, don't say it, right? I know even when I had my stillborn in 1994, you know, I had a lot of people that said things that weren't, I wouldn't say they were unkind, but just wasn't something that you would tell somebody, you know, things like, okay, so I lost my baby. She was full term, right? And so I do not want to slaughter your name. I know you're one of my followers. I appreciate the likes though. But you know, oh, well, you can have more, right? That was, I got a lot of that. Well, you can have more kids, right? And let me just tell you, from losing a full-term stillborn, or even if my baby would have been alive and lost her, that's not something that a parent wants to hear at that moment. You know, we appreciate the sentiment and the fact that you were trying, but sometimes it's better just to not say anything at all. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you don't mean it, right? How do I know this? How do I know what? What's your question? How do I know this? From firsthand experience. I lost my husband 21 months ago. And I had a full-term stillborn in 1994. And I had people say some kind of insensitive things when I lost my baby. And, you know, and I had people say after my husband died, hey, if you need anything, right? Well, if you don't mean that, don't say it, right? Because especially for somebody like me, who it's really, 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 really hard, don't like to ask for help. And so when you do reach out and then they're like, why are you contacting me? That's hard. It is really hard, right? So, sorry, I kind of beat that to death, but it's just, I just wanted to stress that. That's really important. Don't say it if you don't mean it. And sometimes just know it's better to not say anything at all if you're not sure what to say. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so what does it look like to show up for others, right? Depending on what that person's going through, right? You know, maybe you see a struggling mother who has several toddlers or, you know, young children, and she's struggling, and you know her, and you're like, hey, let me take the kids off your hands for a couple hours. You know, you take a hot bubble bath and, you know, maybe take a nap, or, you know, or you see she's struggling and, hey, can I come over and maybe help you clean your house? Or, you know, hey, maybe I could make a couple meals for you. Would you like that? Would that help out? You know, maybe a new mom that's just getting home from the hospital, you know, maybe she had a C-section and she can't move around very well, you know. Hey, how can I help you, right? Tell me what I can do to help you. Come over and clean your house, take the kids for a little bit, you know, got other kids, or just come over and watch the baby sleep so you can sleep, you know, or can I come make some food for you or bring you some food, whatever it may be, right? Maybe it's a shut-in. Maybe you know an elderly person and they struggle to get out. And they just need somebody to go to the grocery store for them. And I know that's a little different now because we have grocery delivery and all of that. But still, you have elderly people. Like my mom is 77 years old and she is not technical at all. And of course, she lives in a small town. So, you know, my mom, a lot of times I'll ask when her aide comes, hey, can you run uptown to the grocery store for me? Right? Hey, Veronica, I meant to give it to your message today. It's kind of been a rough couple of days. I had to work all day yesterday. I was completely exhausted. Long story. Anyway, but so, you know, my mom lives in a small town where grocery delivery isn't a thing, right? And so, you know, maybe offer to take them to the grocery store if they want to actually go, or to go pick up groceries for them. Or maybe they just want somebody to talk to, right? How many elderly people are still living at home or even at a care center? Good evening. I'm doing well tonight, Veronica. Thank you for the badges. I appreciate that. And all the likes, Julie. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. So tonight we're talking about how can we show up for others. And so, there's many different things, right? I know we had people that we used to go to church with that had a fire, and the wife got burned, had some burns, and so she couldn't cook because she had all these burns. So we took meals to her. There's all kinds of different ways we can help people, right? I know in my case, again, most people don't know, before my husband unalived himself, about a little over a year, I don't remember what it was, but my husband was in the hospital for 88 days. And, we had no income coming in. And I was spending every day at the hospital in the ICU taking care of my husband. And, I would have loved if somebody would have reached out to me and said, Renee, can I just bring you a meal, right? Or hey, can I bring you some food to the hospital, right? I didn't get any of that. I mean, from my kids, yes, but from strangers, no. Where are their kids? Some people don't have kids, Veronica, right? I have several friends that don't have kids, right? And when they get elderly, they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I don't have any kids to take care of me, right? And some people have had kids who have passed away before them, that they've outlived their whole entire families, right? What did I miss? One? Am I Korean? Nope. I'm a white girl. Okay, good evening. Was it before good evening? How are you? Because that's all I got. And then a badge. And then wonder where are their kids. Did you say something before that? Some kids aren't caregiving type. Yeah, and some just don't care, right? So I think it's our place as society, right? We're supposed to love others as ourselves, right? And so, aren't we called to help others, right? So maybe somebody needs a ride, and they don't have a car. Like for me, I was depending on my kids after they took my car away. That's okay, Julie. Thank you for the badge. But after they repossessed my car after Daryl passed, I didn't have a car. And, it was very helpful when, like, my friend Jen, she would, text me or she's like, hey, I'm coming to town. Or she was out and about and she's like, do you need to go anywhere? Do you need anything? Right? Some people, things happen. Cars break down. People need a ride, Hey, do you need a ride to work? Do you need a ride home? There's so many things. I just think, and this is my guide's point too, is how can we say, how can I help? How can I help you? How can I help others, right? To think about others. And sometimes it's hard. And I'll be the first one to admit, I've been struggling for 21 months. And so I do struggle to, think outside of my little bubble sometimes. But, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn because I don't like to talk about these things. But for example, a good example is I maybe made $10 in tips when I worked breakfast attendant last winter, and if I seen somebody standing at the corner, I did not hesitate to give them 4 of that. I had just enough to get dog food or whatever it was I needed, and I give the other 4 to them because I believe what you give out, you get back, right? And like I said, I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I'm just saying that as an example, right? Sometimes, people need help. So, like I said, making meals, help go buy groceries for somebody, or just coming over and being there, right? Today is Sunday. I struggle on Sundays, if you guys don't know. My husband usually works 6 days a week, and for many years anyway. And so Sundays was our day. Sunday was the only day that I got to spend with my husband. And if it was beautiful outside, we would go for a drive, right? And my friend Jen knows that, I struggle. Right now, Sundays are a double-edged sword when I have the day off because I enjoy having my day off, but at the same time, I can find myself slipping into a little bit of a depression and having moments through the day because I miss him, especially when the weather's nice like this and I want to take a drive and I can't do that, right? And so, you know, Jen will call me and she's like, hey, let's take a drive out into the hills, because she knows I don't get to do that. I mean, I work in the hills a little bit, but I don't get to take drives like I used to because I have to conserve my gas so I can go to work, right? So it's just, you know, just be conscientious about others and maybe what they're going through, even if we're going through stuff. And I know it, like I said, I am the first one to admit it's hard. When you're going through your own struggles, it's hard to think about others. And sometimes people just need a hug, right? It's okay if you know that person, or, you know, if you feel comfortable, right? Hey, can I just give you a hug, right? In my case, I find myself hugging people all the time because I have a tendency to make people cry, because when I go in public, sometimes I get messages for people, right? If you're not familiar, I'm a medium also. And so the last time I was at the gym, you know, this lady walked by me and I got chills and I was like, oh boy, here we go, you know, and I could have told Spirit, no, this is my personal time, and I could have turned that off. But I don't like to do that sometimes, because it's like I feel like those messages come when they're supposed to come for those people, right? And I'm the middleman to give them those messages, right? And so this lady's father came through. It's telling me I have an unstable connection, so I apologize if I'm skipping or freezing or anything. I can't control it. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. And tonight we're talking about showing up for others and what does that look like. Thank you for all the hearts, Julie. I appreciate you so much. But she walked by me and I was like, and we got to talking, and I told her, you know, that I was a medium, and I said I kind of got chills when you walked by, so I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't get a message for you. Sure enough, her dad ended up coming through, right? So I walked over to her and, you know, I give her the message, and she cried, right? That's what I have a tendency to make people cry, because their loved ones come through and there's something they need to hear at that moment. And so I was like, can I give you a hug, right? And for me, especially in the beginning when my husband first passed, you know, if somebody, you know, would have been like, obviously if it wasn't creepy, right, would have been like, hey, can I just give you a hug? Sure, because I didn't have my husband to give me a hug anymore, right? And so it's like, sure, I'll take a hug, you know. And there was times where, you know, I would be out and about, and it's like, you know, I just wanted to fall apart, but at the same time I had to keep living my life, right? And so, you know, just a smile from somebody, or hey, how are you today, or somebody held the door for me, sometimes just made my entire day, right? And so think of that when you're out and about, and random acts of kindness, right? My guides say that all the time. Are you doing random acts of kindness? You know, and it's harder for me because if I just go to work and come home, there's not a lot of places for me to do that. But I'm just saying, if you deal with the public on a daily basis, you know, random acts of kindness go a long way for certain people, because I truly believe, you know, that people are put into our lives at the right minute, at the right time. Our comments not coming through, or nobody's commenting tonight. For example, I heard a story once about this person that was like, God told them to go to the store and buy, I think it was milk, like a gallon of milk or something. And all of a sudden they're driving along. They don't know what they're supposed to do with this gallon of milk. And yes, they very much can be blessings. And they're driving along with this gallon of milk going, okay, God, what did you tell me to buy this gallon of milk for? And God says, stop here at this house. And that person stopped, and, you know, and they have no idea why they're at this house, and they go up and they knock on the door. And that person tells them that they literally just prayed that God would send them somebody because they needed milk for their baby or their child, right? So that's what I'm saying. You never know when you are the person that they just prayed for, right? So just always remember that, right? So just always remember that, right? And I know it's hard sometimes when we get in a rush and we're going through our own lives, and even myself, I have to remind myself sometimes when I, like I said, sometimes it's just holding the door for somebody, or, you know, I don't know about you all, but I'm one of those people, when I walk up to a cash register, when I don't go through the self-checkout, yeah, I know I'm a bad girl, but usually I need to get in and out. But, you know, when I go through the checkout line and, you know, the cashier person doesn't say anything to me. Exactly. And that's another thing, Julie, thank you for saying that, is listening to that small nudge or that voice in you. That is there for a reason. Your intuition, for sure. You were given that for a reason, right? That's the divine or your spirit team, you know, giving you that little nudge of go on, you know, or if you get this feeling you're out to eat, and not to get sidetracked because I'm a good squirreler. Sorry, my phone's going crazy over here. My old phone. You know, if you're out to eat, you know, and you get this, you know, something tells you you need to pay for somebody, or even in the grocery store line, right? Like I said, you might be the person they just prayed for because they knew they were short and they didn't know how they were going to pay for all their groceries, or, you know, they wanted to treat their kids for one time in a month and they're like, I hope this covers it, right? Or whatever it may be, right? Just make their day because they chose to go out to eat, which, you know, I'm not going to argue the ins and outs, whether it's, you know, smart, if, you know what I'm saying. Like when my kids were little, they would say after church, they'd say, let's go out to eat. And I knew we had $25 for the whole week until we got paid again. And so I knew that $25 would last a lot longer at the grocery store than it would if we went out to eat, right? So I'm not going to argue that point, but I'm just saying, you know, just a random act of kindness. And I know I've been rattling on here, so sorry about that. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, just do it. Exactly. If you get that nudge, especially. And I started a story too. Sorry, I have that can't remember crap syndrome. What was I saying before I kind of squirreled off there? If it'll come back to me if it's important. But when I watched this video this morning, so that's where I got the topic. So I was watching one of these content creators that I watch on Instagram, and he was talking about this, and like I said, if you missed it, he was talking about how this lady was having a bad day, and instead of her friends just texting her, hey, you know, are you okay? You know, her friends just came over, right, and to cheer her up. And then he made a comment that was like really hit home for me. One good deed could save somebody's life. That really hits home for me because that is so true. That is so true, because I've had lots of moments since my husband has passed, and my friend Jen knows, right? And even I have a friend Wayne too, who is amazing, and you know, he'll text me and be like, hey, how are you doing? And he knows when I say I'm fine that I'm not fine. And we weren't even friends very long, and he already figured that one out, right? And he's like, okay, when you say you're fine, you're not fine. What's up? What's going on, right? And my friend Jen, she knows, you know, and she'll come over and take me out or whatever, right? I'm back. Sorry, my mother wanted to do a FaceTime since she's in Ecuador for 3 weeks with my aunt. No problem, Veronica. Nothing. We're just kind of still just... No problem, Veronica. Nothing. We're just kind of still just talking about random acts of kindness, and if you hear a voice or you have that nudge to pay for somebody's groceries or to do something, to just listen to that nudge, right? Because a lot of times, like I was saying, is sometimes we could be that answered prayer, right? That somebody just prayed for, right? Glitch. Hopefully it's not really bad, but it is what it is. And what I was saying is that this content creator I was watching this morning, and he said this statement that really touched me, is one good deed could save somebody's life. And he is so right? I know if you missed it, last week I talked about a couple months ago, I was not in a good place. and there was a day that I just wasn't in a good place, and I was ready to leave this planet. And at that moment, I got a text. And had I not got a text from that person, because he just knew something wasn't right, and he texted me, I might not be sitting here. So, one good deed, you know? And here's another thing too. And here's another thing too that I've discovered. And this is your intuition or your spirit team or whatever also putting that nudge in you. When you get that thought, and you suddenly start thinking about somebody and you're like, I haven't talked to so-and-so lately. Call so-and-so. Because you got that input from your guides, from divine, whoever it may be, for a reason, right? Because maybe they need to hear from you right at that moment, right? There again, that's that nudge, that inner voice telling you. That's why, because you might be just doing something random and, cleaning or whatever, and all of a sudden you just get this random thought. Those aren't random thoughts, just so you know. Those are from your spirit team usually. They're putting them there. They want your spirit team usually. They're putting them there. They want you to think about that. So if you get this random thought, oh, I should call Julie, or I should text Julie. Julie might need a call or a text right at that moment, right? So those aren't random. Those aren't coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. So, okay, all I have for tonight, other than my little plugs I have to do here, does anybody have anything they want to add or questions to that? I don't know if all the comments are coming through or not. Anybody? Okay, well, while I'm waiting to see if anybody's got anything else they want to say, did anybody have a loss or anything that they're struggling with this week that they need to get off their chest? While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to do my little plugs real quick. If you're not familiar, I do have a YouTube channel. It's under Scorpio Media. And if you're not a subscriber over there, I would love it if you went over there and subscribed. You'll find all my reels and videos that I upload here over there. The only difference is if you miss my live and you would like to catch one, they're all uploaded over there usually by the next day. I had one last week. It took me almost 2 days before I was able to download it so I could upload it over there. I'm sorry, Julie. Hopefully you didn't miss what I said. It's pretty much all a repeat. The other thing is, so I go live Sunday through Wednesday, usually between 7 to 8 o'clock Mountain Time. So if you're struggling and you need a community and you're new here, welcome. My community is your community. We are not shy here. I have lots of great people that are hopping on and off of here all the time and would love to support you. Oh, thank you for the rose, Matt. I appreciate that. Yes, Veronica, and I'm so sorry for that. And have you tried doing some journaling about that? Did we talk about that? I'm sure we probably have. I appreciate that, Rose, so much, Matt. Appreciate it a lot. And thank you, Veronica, for all the likes. So let's see. I talked about my YouTube channel, Scorpio Medium. And then I'm here Sunday through Wednesday between 7 and 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Tonight I was a little early. Would have been before 7 o'clock, but I got a phone call. If you go check out my bio, either here or over at Scorpio Medium, you will see my email address. And so, like I said, I am a medium. If you're interested in having a reading with somebody who has crossed over, I charge $40 for those. I don't think that's a huge fee, but my guides tell me I have to charge because I have a service. So, I charge $40 for those. And if you'd like to set one of those up, you can email me through my email to set that up. And also in my bio down below, you'll find my Venmo. And I don't like to ask for help, but there again, my guides tell me that it was time that I put that on there. Do I believe in Ouija boards? I don't. I believe they're real. They're very real. I just think if you don't know what you're doing, you can call in things you don't want to call in. So I don't recommend them. I'll just put it that way, because you can open portals that you really don't want to open, because it's really hard to shut them and to get rid of things that you can bring in through those portals. Julie, thank you for the likes. And so I do have my Venmo on there. If you do enjoy my content and you would like to support me and you're able to, I would appreciate any donations. And so, like I said, you can do that through my Venmo. That's pretty much, I think, all my plugs for the night. Does anybody else have any other questions? So it's for real. Oh, yes. Yes, it's for real. You can open portals. You can the thing is Veronica, you don't need an Ouija board to open portals. You know, people mess around and they can do things, right? You can open, so here's the thing, right? So a lot of people, when you drink alcohol, right, your vibration lowers, right? Some people get really, really sad when they drink alcohol. And so that's why they call alcohol spirits. And so when you are consuming alcohol and you're in a lower vibrational state, maybe you're sad or depressed like a lot of people are when they start, you can invite in things that way too. Because you're already in a low vibrational state and you're lowering your vibration more by drinking spirits. So that's why I don't actually drink very often. Susie Q, thank you for the little smiley faces. Hey, are you when they said it would... Okay, hold on. Hey, are you when they said she would if... What if she would if... What if you are? I'm not sure your question, Candy. Can you elaborate on that, please? So what does that have to do with an Ouija board? Well, a Ouija board is the same thing. When you're inviting in things and you don't know how to protect yourself and not open portals or invite in things you don't know what you're inviting in, that's what it has to do with Ouija boards. So like if a kid's playing with it and you're asking for people, dead people to come to you, or spirits or somebody who's crossed over, a lot of times there are not so good spirits that can come. You're inviting in things you don't know what they are. So you might be thinking you're inviting in grandma, and you could have low vibrational entities coming to you that aren't grandma if you don't know how to protect yourself. So that's just not something that I would mess with if I was, even a lot of seasoned mediums and people who know how to, put protection around themselves, don't mess with those kind of things. Just saying. A Ouija board, it's just like any other divination tool, like tarot cards or oracle cards or whatever, right? But for me, I don't need a Ouija board because I know how to bring through spirit, and I know how to protect myself and to only invite in those things for my highest good and of the highest light of source, right? You don't want to invite in things that aren't of the highest light of source or of God's white light or what it just depends who you are, what they say. Because like I said, there are a lot of low vibrational entities, and they'll come in and they'll pretend to be. And so that's why, and I'm just going to say this, and I'm not saying this to sway anybody one way or the other, but that's why the church tells you, oh, stay away from all that stuff, it's witchcraft. No, there is a lot of good in those divination tools, and there's bad. But that's where, even us as people, we have good and we have bad in us. You can't have good without the bad, and you can't have bad without the light, right? But it's knowing how to invite only in the good, right? And using those divination tools for the good, right? And so when I use my mediumship to pull through somebody from the other side, I'm only inviting those for my highest good, my client's highest good, and of the highest light of source. Client's highest good and of the highest light of source. It's knowing the difference. Exactly. Yeah, the Catholics, most religions will tell you that. But you know why they tell you that? That's a brainwashing of religion. Agree to disagree here. And this is my page, my opinion. Religion, but I've been down many rabbit holes. And religion was created, for one, for fear, and a control mechanism, right? And just like a lot of religions will tell you, don't meditate. Meditation is bad, right? No, the church doesn't want you, or religion doesn't want you to meditate, because if you go inward, you will discover that everything you need, source, God, whatever it is you call it, has given you the tools. You are part of God's source. God created you, or the creator, divine, whatever it is you call it, has created you. Everything you need is inside of you. And the church created you, or the creator, divine, whatever it is you call it, has created you. Everything you need is inside of you. And the church teaches you everything is external, that you have to pray to this God out there. No, God is inside of you. God created you. And they don't want you to have that personal relationship with you and creator, God, universe, whatever, right? They want you to go through the church and give me money, give me money. It's about fear and control and money and so many other things. It has nothing to do with your salvation, which don't even get me on that road. But anyway, just saying. But yes, knowing the difference, right? And so that's why they've brainwashed the world to believe that these divination tools like oracle cards and tarot cards and mediums like myself are bad and of the devil. No, there are people that use it for bad, and there are people like me that use it for good. I use mine for good. I believe my gift is from God. I use it to reassure people that their loved ones are with them, because they are. You can talk to anybody that I've done a reading for, and they can validate that I pulled in that loved person, that the one that they love or cared about, because they give me validations. They tell me things that I wouldn't know. But what I'm saying is I have that gift to help other people. Just like that lady last week, to know that her son is okay and that he doesn't want her to be sad, right? He wants her to be happy. And so if I can help somebody feel better about their loved one who's crossed over, or for their loved one to come through to me and say, don't feel guilty. You did nothing wrong. You shouldn't feel guilty. I want you to be happy. I don't want you laying in that bed to be sad. Excuse me. I don't want you crying all day, right? Then I'm using my gift for good. And that's what I believe. I don't think you have to be sorry, Veronica. I mean, unless you're sorry that I said all that, but I'm not sorry that I said all that, because it's all stuff that needs to be said and talked about, sadly, and people don't talk about it because they don't want to ruffle people's feathers. Well, like I said, my page, my opinion. I'm not telling you have to believe that, but if people just did an ounce of research, they would find out most of what I've said is true, if not all of it. I'm just saying most because I'm trying not to be biased, but anyway, it is what it is with that. But okay, anybody else have anything else? But yes, I would not, if I was you, I would stay clear of a Ouija board, especially if you don't know how to protect yourself. That's what I'm saying. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Thanks for the likes, Jen. I appreciate that. But like I said, these divination tools are just like anything else, right? Like I have tarot cards, right? And it's knowing how to protect yourself and that you're using them for good. They're just cards, right? They're just cards. You can use them for good or for bad. It's no different than if I had a fork sitting over here, right? You can use the fork to get fat and unhealthy and kill yourself, or you can use the fork to just eat stuff that's nutritious and to give your body what it needs to survive, right? Or a spoon. It's no different. It's just another tool. Does that make sense? Ugh, I didn't realize there was something sticky on my handle there. Okay, anybody else? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. I didn't realize my handle was all sticky. Okay, guys, well, if nobody else has anything else they want to add tonight, I appreciate you all for being here. If you're just hopping on and you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. I will be back here tomorrow night between 7 and 8 o'clock Mountain Time. I usually come about 7:15-ish. I like 7:17 because I love angel numbers. I'm a huge angel number girl. So I will be back tomorrow night with a new topic. And if nobody else has anything else they want to add tonight, going once. Thank you for all the likes. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the love you give me, all the hearts, the badges, the rose, everything. I appreciate that so very much. I appreciate all of you. Like I've said many times, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a platform. So I appreciate you so very much. And on that note, I hope you make tomorrow great because it is a choice. And I'm going to say until we meet again.